don't think society can be built in control, manipulation, unless everyone is able to have a fair game and a fair chance at life. And people always say this thing that life isn't fair, life isn't fair. Have you ever had the question of why? What do I mean by the concept of giving up control and domination in relationships? Not just in relationships, but romantic relationships. I feel like over time, in this whole journey of self-healing and trying to figure things out, that is something that we all struggle with, the ability to let go and let love. And we all talk about this one move, just let them. We know who we're talking about.
Let them. Theory's not working right now.
And in some regard, I do think that's a bit silly. But I also think there is some level of truth to that, in which you have to give up control and domination and manipulation. Because the truth is, you actually do need to give up control in a relationship. You do actually need to give up control in a relationship. You actually need to put down the manipulation tactics, put down the bucks, cut it down, and go about your day. Because it ain't working. And I don't think we talk about the fact that manipulation, control, and any form of domination in a relationship has not been working out. Same thing with patriarchy. It just ain't gonna work out. The whole concept that one specific gender or one person should have domination and control in a relationship is flawed. And let's first start with the one system we have currently, the patriarchy. The patriarchy. Oh my god. Let's just relax and take a second to breathe. We just always hear people talking about the patriarchy and the patriarchy is this and the patriarchy is that, but nobody actually takes a second to really actually figure out the definition of the patriarchy. Like, you always hear feminists or people or women talking about, the patriarchy is harassing or making society harder, but not a lot of people know what the patriarchy is, so let's get into it, right? The patriarchy is a social system in which men hold primary power, dominate. You see the word dominate comes back. Dominate roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. Yeah, because the thing about it is, that is what the patriarchy is. Patriarchy means men are in power, men are in control, men are dominating. And in some capacity, that's wrong. Because as much as we want to believe that, as much as some men, or some people want to believe that men should be in control of everything, that is not a society built on love. There's no society built on what it is: love, trust, faith, kindness, gentleness. That is not a society built on that. It's a society built on domination, built on societal English. Built on societal need for men to be in power. That is not society based on love. And I don't think that society can be built in domination. I don't think society can be built in control, manipulation, unless everyone is able to have a fair game and a fair chance at life. And people always say this thing that life isn't fair, life isn't fair. Have you ever had the question of why? Have you ever thought about why life isn't fair? God damn. Take a second to actually process the reason why life isn't fair in the first motherfucking place. Just take a second. Life isn't fair, maybe we should make it fair? I don't know. The patriarchy has always been centered around control. Around the control of men being in control and women being underneath. And then when we started being in this feminist movement, which I love, right? But it is reaching a state in which the feminist movement has been less about the fair game that we all need, about the equality and the inclusivity of life, and more about the fact that women need to be in power. That is, you're just doing exactly what the men were doing. That's the side point. Like, We need to actually sit down and think about these topics really and truly, because I love the feminist movement. When it first began, it was about the equality, about women being able to vote, about women having equal pay, about women being able to have inclusivity into the whole movement. And then it had the gay movement, then it had the black people movement, and it was a whole thing. Because this is what tends to happen when it comes to life. We turn from inferiority to superiority really quickly, and we need to actually process that. The feminist movement and every single movement has moved from a state of equality to superiority. Be the black people movement, as a black woman myself, be it the gay people movement or the LGBT community, or even be it the society of feminists and men and women and other genders. It's a whole thing. We've turned from a state of love and equality to a state of superiority. All of these states that we find ourselves in is just in a state or just in an insecurity of inadequacy. We feel inadequate. Let's go with the black people. The black people movement has run from the feeling of inadequacy to a feeling of masking that inadequacy and we are better than white people. We're just what people. And I can see this from my experience, in which I had this thought that I was better than white people, that black people are better. But that's all just in a state of lack of love. That's all in a state of trying to take the power back. And even though I do believe that we as a community need to take back our power, I do understand that power should not be the end all be all to what we're moving in this life. Power without love is simply abuse and domination. Power without love is abuse and domination. And this is, again, yes, you can be powerful, because I do believe each and every one of us are powerful in our own way. But when we move from that powerful energy into a state of superiority, into a state of control, into a state of manipulation, into a state of domination, we are missing the point of all these different systems. We are missing the point of all these different claims that we're trying to do. We want equality, and yet we're performing in superiority. We want equality, but we are performing in a state of inadequacy continuously. You are not inadequate just because you want love. Love should be the main thing we focus on as a society, and we are not doing that. Because I want to see this with my whole chest. Love and domination cannot coexist. Be it in romantic relationships, the Black Power movement, femininity, all these different things. Domination, control, and manipulation cannot coexist with love. Because at that point, you are not loving that person. At that point, you are not taking care of that person. At that point, you are not participating in responsibility, trust, faith, love, kindness, gentleness, peace, patience. You are not participating in all these different things that love encompasses. You are participating in the exact systems you're fighting and running from. It's the same thing that we as a society has become the exact thing we hate. The feminist movement has become the exact thing we hated with the men. The Black people movement has become the exact thing we hated with the whites. It's a cycle. It's a cycle, and we need to stop. Jesus, come on, man. Let's actually take a second to really just think about these things, because it is necessary. These are not just things we just pull out of our cheeks, bruv. Come on. We need to build a society centered on love. We need to build a society centered on trust, responsibility, care, gentleness, kindness, patience, long suffering. We need to build a society based on compromise. We cannot go from one stream to the next. Whoa, we're inferior. Oh, we're superior. This ain't go work. We need to convince ourselves, and we need to allow ourselves to understand that we want to play fair games in the context of romantic relationships. I had reached a state where I was talking to people, and I was talking in romantic relationships with people, and I was manipulating. I was let me tell you, I was doing a fudging, alright? And that is not what I wanted. And it was only until I listened to a song from Sia. I'll put up the lyrics here, but from what I remember is that what is the point if I can't respect any man? I want to play a fair game. And that is the cry That is the call that we as society want. We want to play a fair game with people. We don't know how because we never learned how to love. We need to bring back ourselves and we need to educate ourselves on the act of love, on the purpose of love. And I want to say this with my chest, not the feeling. No, not the feeling of love, because we get that confused. We get that feeling, that little butterfly feeling, that little pump, that little chest pump, as a means to say, oh, I'm loved. No, the feeling of love is not love. Period. The love is an action. Love is sacrifice. Love is compromise. Love is taking responsibility, accountability. Love is allowing yourself to trust. This is what love is. Love is having faith in your partner, having faith in the things that you cannot see, having loyalty to these people. That is what love is. You may fall short, but you get back on the motherfucking horse. That is what love is. You may make a mistake, but you get back on the horse to love. That is what love is. We need to allow ourselves as a society to bring back love into the motherfucking game. Fuck. Damn. It's a topic I really want to talk about because we need to allow ourselves to understand that we need to play a fair game. Domination, control will not exist with us. We need to be better. I love you, my darlings. Bye.